Stand on the coast of Morocco on a clear day and you can literally see Europe. It looks so close and so harmless. 711 AD, one man looked across that water and decided to cross. A few years later, Europe will never be the same again. To understand this story, you need to understand what Europe looked like in 711 AD. It wasn't the powerful Europe you know today. Rome had collapsed 300 years earlier, and Europe was in what historians call the Dark Ages. Poverty, disease, illiteracy, constant war between barbarian kingdoms. Most Europeans couldn't even read. Most Europeans had never seen a book, and most European cities were little more than made and wood. Meanwhile, across the water in North Africa, the Islamic world was experiencing a golden age. Mathematics, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, architecture, and the most advanced civilization on earth was not in Europe. It was in Africa and the Middle East. And one man was about to bring it directly into the heart of Europe. His name was Tariq bin Ziyad, and he was a former slave. Nobody knows exactly where Tariq was born. Some say Algeria, some say Morocco. What we do know is this: he started his life as a slave and rose to become the governor of Tangier, one of the most important cities in North Africa. In 711 AD, the governor of North Africa sent Tariq a mission. Spain was tearing itself apart. The Visigoth king, Roderick, had stolen the throne by force. Half of the kingdom hated him. The Christian nobleman came to Tariq and said, "Help us move this king. We will give you Spain in return." His name was Julian. And before you call Julian a traitor, you need to understand what Roderick did to him. Julian had sent his daughter to Roderick's court, as was custom at the time, and Roderick raped her. Alright, back to the story. When Julian spoke to Tariq, Tariq didn't hesitate. He guarded 7,000 soldiers, Berbers, Arabs, and freed slaves, and sailed across the Strait of Gibraltar, the narrow stretch of water between Africa and Europe. 14 kilometers, the shortest distance between two continents on Earth. The moment Tariq feet touched European soil, history changed forever. Now, the moment that made Tariq a legend, when his army landed on the European shore, Tariq ordered something that made his own soldiers think he had lost his mind. Burn the ships, every single one. The men looked at each other. This was their only way home, their only escape if the battle went wrong. And their general was setting them on fire. Then Tariq came to his army, said words that have been remembered for 1,300 years. No retreat, no surrender, no going home, win or die on European soil. The soldiers look at the burning ships, look at each other, and march forward. King Roderick heard that an African army had landed on his soil. He wasn't worried. He guarded between 25,000 to 40,000 soldiers against Tariq's 7,000. The numbers were laughable, of course, but Tariq had something Roderick did not: discipline, strategy, and an army with no option except victory. At the Battle of Godley, fought near a river in southern Spain, Tariq divided his forces brilliantly, used the terrain, created confusion, struck from angles Roderick didn't expect it. And when Roderick's own allies betrayed him mid-battle, the Visigothic army collapsed. Roderick was killed. Spain was leaderless, and Tariq's 7,000 men who had burned their bones. What happened after that battle was even more extraordinary. City after city opened their gates to Tariq, not because they were forced, because Tariq offered them something Roderick never had: justice, freedom of regions, fair taxation. The people who had suffered under the Visigothic king welcomed the African army as liberators. Toledo, the capital of Spain, fell without a fight, and so many cities fell as well, one after another. Within 7 years, Tariq and his reinforcements controlled almost the entire Iberian Peninsula. What is today Spain and Portugal, conquered by an African army that started with 7,000 men and no ships to go home. And they didn't stop at Spain. They pushed into France, they took Lyon, and marched toward Paris. For one terrifying moment, the entire continent of Europe was within their reach. Now, here is a part of the story that will genuinely blow your mind. The Moors didn't just conquer Spain. They built the most advanced civilization in the Western world. In Cordoba, they built a city of 500,000 people, the largest city in all of Europe at the time, with 300 public baths, 70 libraries, a university that attracted students from all across Europe, while the rest of Europe was living in darkness. Cordoba had street lights, running water, hospital with trained doctors. European scholars, Christians and Jews, traveled to Muslim Spain to learn mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. The knowledge that eventually sparked the European Renaissance came from Africa, control Spain. The most ruled Spain for 700 years. When they finally expelled in 1492, Europe burned their libraries, destroyed their mosques, and tried to erase every trace of what Africans had built on European soil. Did you know that Africa ever controlled Europe? No way, because they erased it. They don't want you to know that. You gotta find out. And anyway, that's the end of the video, and I'ma see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it to your friends and family. That's it. See you in the next one.